Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, hi. And this is my first time covering anything like this in a rant format. So if you're new here, it's my first time too, so we're all just gonna experience it together. So what exactly is I eat pasta for breakfast? Well, starting off, it is a very outdated creepypasta fan comic with a bunch of OCs. Well, technically not OCs, since all creepypasta characters are OCs, but you get what I mean. Basically, characters that are created by the person who made the comic. So, I'm not going to talk about the whole story because there's a lot to uncover. This video is primarily just talking about the nasty parts of it and the stuff that I personally didn't like about it, and maybe even like, if I were to rewrite it, what would I do kind of thing. So, starting off, let's start with the basis, the summary. So, I Eat Pasta for Breakfast is about this little girl named Lazari who is the daughter of Zolgo. Her mother is, let's just kindly say, no longer living. So Slender Man finds her in the forest, takes her in, she gets to know everybody in the house. She has this kind of weird age-up thing, and they don't know how to handle her, because she's, like, half demon and stuff, so she's trying to learn how to be a demon, she's trying to learn how to control herself, she eats other monsters. Yeah, it's interesting. At some point, she gets, like, too much for them to handle, so they, like, threaten to kill her? And so she's like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. And then she runs away after Eyeless Jack tries to kill her. And pretty much after that, it just gets confusing with all these other characters being added on and people dying. I don't know. I always lost the end bit because I never paid attention and I had no clue what was going on. So now that I've covered a very basic summary of the story, I am now going to get into the very weird, controversial parts of this story, and trust me, there's many to cover! And when I look at the video where the comic is dubbed by voice actors on YouTube, I always look at the comments to see if there's anything questionable. Like, people who haven't clearly understood what's going on here. And trust me, there's a lot more than you would think. And you know what? Yeah, I'm guilty of that too, because back in the day, when I was a little kid, and I loved creepypasta, I saw absolutely nothing wrong with this. I was just like, well, these are the characters, they're funny, I love them. I'm just gonna ignore these weird parts because I'm a dumb little kid and I don't know what's going on. But when I rewatched it when I was much older, like I'm talking like a few years later, I was taken back. I rewatched the whole thing and my jaw was to the floor. First of all, we have to start off with the biggest thing that starts in this story that is an immediate red flag. So, for those of you who have never seen the comic, it is clearly emphasized that Lazari has a big crush on the character, which is Eyeless Jack. Now, I want you to keep in mind that when this story starts, Lazari is an 8-year-old girl. Eyeless Jack is presumed to be a man in his 20s, or a college student. Now, yes, it's okay for little kids to have a crush on an older figure that they find is cool. Everyone does it with celebrities, creepypasta characters. It's a normal thing for little kids to do, okay? But I'm talking like they emphasized it. They really wanted the audience to know that she had this big fat crush on him and genuinely wanted to date him. There were so many instances. Throughout the story, not much interactions happened between Lazari and a lot of the other creepypasta characters except for Lulu. But when it came to Eyeless Jack, every single time they would both be on screen, she would be blushing, she'd be trying to talk to him, try to get close to him, and all of that stuff. He was not buying it in the actual comic, okay? But from what I have learned, the creator thinks another way. Let's just take a look at this image that I found for one good minute. Yeah, you see what's happening here? She's wearing his jacket, and he's acting all nonchalant about it. And this is the official artwork from the same artist and creator, by the way. So, yeah, do with that what you will. Yeah, this isn't good. They shipped the two. They may have tried to hide it. Yeah, no, we see it. Ha, we see it all right, buddy. Instead, they should have just made her look up to him. They didn't have to make it this big old thing where she had this big crush on him and she wanted to date him and get with him and just complicated things. It made things so weird. And if you think that that's weird, that's just the beginning to how weird this comic gets. Let's get to tier number 2, the aging up. Wow, what a surprise. So what I just said, it's exactly how it sounds. The creator aged up Lazari. Fundamentally. She went from this 8-year-old girl to this 12-year-old with curves. What's the creator's justification for this? Oh, well, she turned into a demon once, so clearly her body had to age up with it, right? Wrong? What are you doing? This whole thing just doesn't make any sense either, because her mother hated her for being a demon or whatever, and she hasn't turned into this demon prior? And then when she does, she turns older and curvier? So, obviously, if you're not getting what the creator is trying to do here, they are aging her up to sexualize her. And maybe they were planning on trying to get her with Eyeless Jack by aging her up, which clearly that was not going to do anything, because that only made her 12, and Eyeless Jack is an adult man, like I've said. I'm glad that they didn't do anything with that in the comic, but there was this really awkward scene where she was aged up and she was wearing nothing but a shirt, and Eyeless Jack walks in the room and she's blushing and she's like, you know what, I'ma just play it.
Hey, why's the glove suddenly not so itty bitty, Lazari?
Hey guys, I'm back.
Jack? Hey!
Well, that wasn't uncomfortable at all. Yeah, so you get what's happening now? You get it? Not long after they had a time skip, they showed Christmas, her birthday, but yeah, something was clearly obvious about this. Not just her looking different, but her acting different, okay? She became a little brat after they aged her up, okay? She was cussing every single second, she was trying to, like, beat people up. And when I mean cursing every second, I mean, like, in every single sentence. The F-bombs, the big ones, everything. Every single sentence. She's 12. I mean, yeah, I cussed a bunch when I was 12, but, like, that's... It was so random. Oh, and I forgot a big one before that time skip, by the way. That whole bathtub thing? I'm not gonna show any images, okay? But if you've seen the comic, you would know. Slenderman, her, bathroom. It doesn't necessarily show private parts, but it just gets uncomfortable. Weird. It shows some curves. Yeah, there's several scenes that kind of look like this. Now, one big last thing I wanted to leave to the end with Lazari is the times where we see her past with her mother and she is completely unclothed. You see, we don't know what age she was in those past panels, but I could only assume that she was a young child or even maybe a toddler. In the comic dub on YouTube, it is censored, thank God. But I remember when I was a little kid and I wanted to see if I missed anything on the comic. I looked it up and I went through each panel and read it just like I would go through the story on YouTube. And I see that scene again, and it's completely uncensored. Now, the whole thing was weird. I would definitely say that. It wasn't drawn in a purposeful, sexualized way, but I would definitely say that it was sexualized in general because you drew a child nude. If anything was disturbing to me when I was a kid, it was definitely that. I didn't know anything about the other things that were happening, but if I did know anything, I knew that that was incredibly weird. A little me going through the panels and seeing that. I didn't think that that was normal. Not the fact that a character was completely unclothed, but the fact that it was a little girl. Overall, I think that if the creator had stopped focusing on trying to sexualize Lazari, she could have been this way better character. Her demon concept was weirdly written, poorly written, but I feel like if that were to be rewritten in a way where it made sense and the story didn't focus on any of the weird aging up stuff and she stayed this confused poor little 8-year-old girl who's trying to figure it all out, I think that would have been way better in the end than aging her up and making the story all weird and adding all this confusing bits to this simple, oh no, demon stuff. From what I've seen in the creepypasta fandom, and through people I know, calling out to one of you, people despise Lazari. Despise. They despise this 8-year-old girl stuck in a 12-year-old's body. And I agree, the character sucks. Lazari sucks, okay? But the issue is because of how she was written. She was written as this little girl who's drooling over a grown man who's a Mary Sue of some sorts, who's turns into an asshole out of nowhere. I feel like Lazari could have been a way better character if she was written better. Now, I don't know how she could have been. Well, there's plenty of ways she could have been written better, okay? First of all, like I said, remove the weird stuff. Make it make sense. No Mary Sue stuff. No cussing out of nowhere. Keep her original character. Don't change her into somebody new all of a sudden. That's all I had to say about Lazari and the issues that she had in the comic. Now let's get on to the other characters and their terrible mischaracterizations in this comic. Because I'm doing a speed draw of Ben Drowned, I think it's only fair enough to start with him. So, we don't get to see much of him at all in this comic, but when we do, it is absolutely disgusting, okay? Whenever he is shown, he's either seen like being a jerk to people, which I feel like that would be typical for a boy his age, but the other times, he's a disgusting pervert towards Lulu. Now, Ben's original story, and I'm basing this off of the Majora's Mask one, I don't really know about any of the other ones, but okay, based on what I know, Ben is like a 12-year-old boy or something like that. And to see him mischaracterize this bad as something like weird, I don't know, it just gets weird, you know? Now, there's no way that we could just go from him to somebody else. We have to address the elephant in the room, okay? I know we're all thinking about that one character that got mischaracterized so bad, it set the rest of the fandom back by years. Let's just roll the clip, okay? And then after I roll that clip to you, I want to show a comparison of what this character in the comics is like compared to the real one.
I have crayons and paper here!
Hooray!
He makes me feel like I'm witnessing a fever dream. Anyways, let's compare him to the character that he's based on, which is Tim from Marble Hornets.
Sorry, I just got off work. I've been working all day.
What took you so long? Took you weeks to go see your doctor?
Well, in between constant doctor's visits and trying to keep my job, I've been trying to figure out what kind of steps we need to take next.
Steps we need to take.
Yeah.
Does that look like the same guy to you? Yeah, no. I thought so too. And do not even get me started on that voice. Look, I know that the voice actor can't help it, okay, but they just should have hired somebody that sounds at least kind of close to him. They completely twinkified him in this. Not to mention the fact that they didn't even give him a real personality in this whole comic. He was just kind of there. And this is a continuous pattern for a lot of characters, as you can see. None of them are depicted accurately. They either have no personality, they're all jerks, and they're just like comedic reliefs. Hoodie is just rude the whole thing, and then he dies randomly. They make Tiki Toby this overly energetic guy who's stupid and childish. Which, if you've read the story, that's not how he is at all. Not to mention that that's probably the comic that helped mischaracterize him to this day. Jane? Yeah, no, we don't even get to see her. She dies immediately. Wow, great writing, you guys. As funny as Slenderman's depiction is, it's just not it. I don't think Slenderman would be this, like, fancy British-sounding dude. Like, and it's weird, too, because his personality always switches out. One moment he'll be all cool and joking with the proxies, and then another he'll, like, threaten to kill them? I don't know, just stick to one personality. Okay, controversial take, but I think Eyeless Jack's character is perfect in this story, besides the weird stuff that they do with Lazari. I think he's just perfect, okay? I actually don't know that much about Kate the Chaser, but what I will say, there's nothing special about this character in the story, and she looks nothing like the actual Kate the Chaser. That's all I gotta say. Now, getting to the creator's original character, Lulu, there's so much to go over. First of all, it's mentioned how there's this weird age thing where she's trapped in the body of a 14-year-old, but she's like 20 years old? I don't get that. They didn't even explain why. All because her eyes got taken or something? That just doesn't make sense. And then, of course, just like all the other underage characters, she is heavily sexualized. Great. Just great. And then they're trying to do this thing with her and Ben, or her and Jeff? I don't really know what they were going for, but I don't know. Lulu, she had potential, but they ended up writing her as this, like, character for the male gaze. And going back to Jeff, he was primarily there just to either mess around with people or protect Lulu and be the alpha male protecting her from Zolgo. I don't know, I hated it so much. After going over all of this, I realized that it's not even everything. There's always these small little details and so much more to it. But overall, yeah, that's the comic and all the issues with it. It's a mess. And apparently there's a rewritten version, or I don't know if it's by the same creator or somebody else. I'll have to look into it and maybe I'll cover that too. Because how could it get better from this point that we have all seen now? This story did have a plot, but it wasn't very followed and it was never even finished, so we didn't even get to see what it could have been. And it definitely didn't help the fact that all of the characters were mischaracterized and there's a lot of problematic components to it. Thank you all for watching my first rant video or video covering a topic like this. It means a lot to me because I've spent a lot of time on this. So thank you very much. feel free to leave any other suggestions if you want to see any topics that I should cover or any rants that you want to hear. Let me know. Bye!